show, isn't it? You know,
We're live. Heck yeah. The fruits of the labor are starting to show. So I've got a little bit of different camera setup
Now
today.
for me, it's
Overseas.
the
I've got,
internet is down.
no, I can hear you just fine. So we've got me and BFG Neil and Daniel on here. I'm not sure, Daniel, if you can hear us or not, but we can hear you. Yeah, cool. And then Neil was just telling me some cool stuff about
I'm here.
what's going down in TrackPack IO land. So before we get to Dave's numbers, is that super top secret still, Neil?
no, I mean we're growing like crazy, and it's just I haven't had time to like publicize it more than anything. It's like we're signing on white label customers left, right, and center, and we've got some big brands that have come to us and said that we've tried to do this before and it's failed. Would you help us make it last this time? And they're just going crazy for it. So my days are so full of work. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's just all starting to come together, and I think that's like network wide of a feeling. You know, like people are starting to use it and starting to wake up to this idea that, you know, this network's massive and usable right now, and it's just getting better every day for coverage and for usage.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, it's wild. I talked to there's a local bike company here. They do these. The bikes are like little electric bikes or something. And they're super psyched when I talk to them. Like, yeah, we've tried Lore, but we don't know much about it. I'm like, oh, well, give this thing a shot. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool to see. Okay, I'm guessing there's a little bit of a delay. For those of you watching, I'm overseas.
You're a little choppy.
Okay, yeah. I may end up dropping my video and let you guys run with it. But Paul, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you.
Right on.
Daniel,
Daniel, you don't want to start us off with the hntscan.io? I think you can share your screen.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
exactly. Let's try. So when we're talking with Nova, they are like, okay, let's figure out how we can decrease centralization and increase decentralization. The first thing they had the explorer.helium.com or the IO, and then helium.com, right? The Explorer that everybody knows. And then you can say that Hotspotty is a second block explorer that's like very specific for understanding a lot more about the network. And then we decided, okay, what if we do something else, like a different explorer that's extremely simple and fast to load? Because if you go to the Helium Explorer, it looks pretty. I was looking, but it loads 50 meg from the map. Like, you know, it loads all the map information from the whole world, and it's a lot of information, it's a lot of data. So we decided, okay, let's make like a fun project called AgentT Scan. You know, there's like eScan, there's SoulScan. What about AgentT Scan? You know, the AgentT. So the website that we created is called agentscan.io. Let me try just giving a quick demo. Let's see if I can share my screen. Chrome is required to share a screen. I'm on Firefox.
Heartbreaker.
Let me switch to let me switch to Chrome in a second. Be right back.
Yeah. So it's a little choppy. Okay. And Paul, I see
it's not too bad. I just watched it back on YouTube. You're fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and funnily enough, I'm in Israel to visit a guy that I met through Helium. So I'm coming to his wedding. He's like, "Oh, I'm getting married." I'm like, "Great, I'll be there." And here we are. So
it's cool, man.
Yeah.
It is. Like, I wouldn't have talked to half of the people I talk to.
Yeah. All right, you should be able to share, Daniel. Let's see.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you good.
Okay, so if you go to agentscan.io, it's a very clean, kind of a synthwave style. I'm a big fan of synthwave design. So then we started to, you open the page, you can simply go down, and you're going to have like some network statistics. It's like a broad overview of the network, AgentT price, how much DC was spent in the 30 days, total beacons, number of validators, like a nice chart, and you can check also the market information. Like this is like the Oracle price of the AgentT in the last 30 days. some information about the last validators, and the hotspots as well. And then you can go down. This is, I think, a cool one. It's the latest hotspots that got onboarded in the net. So you can see there's like Linksdot, Bobcat, the network, like where are they from, also when, how long time ago. So this is pretty cool. You can see that there are a bunch of hotspots being on, but this happens. Yeah, and then you can click everything, the latest blocks. This really cool, the latest transactions. Also the wallet information that you have here. We're ready for the mobile token. As soon as it gets released, it's going to start popping up here. Same thing with the latest validators. Let's just, for example, let's see. I already have here some of. So as you start using Hotspotty, Agent Tiscan, so used to use Hotspotty. When you do a search, it's gonna say like where it's from. It has the information. So like, for example, let me try to load this one. It's going to load. I don't know why it's like the 30-day reward for that hotspot information. There are some things that we try to do quick, but it requires a lot of processing in the background to do it live. For example, the 7-day average beacon. If the hotspot has a lot of beacons, you can see a lot of hotspots. It's quite can be quite slow to load still. So that's something they're still working on. Then you have like the list activity for that hotspot. Let's see. Let's go to this wallet, for example. It's actually, you have the wallet information from the past 30 days from this wallet. All the validators, like this wallet has no validators, and so on. So we're just trying to find ways to like make it super interesting and look pretty, to check the statistics of the Helium network. You can go to like hotspots, and then you can click any hotspot. You can do search everywhere. You can look for like understand some transactions that happen in the network. Let's see. Oh, there's like a mining reward. This is an interesting one. This is a kind of transaction that if you open on the Helium Explorer, it's most likely is going to destroy your browser. We realize that the reward transaction sometimes goes to 65,000 transactions in one block. So if you load this information in the Helium Explorer nowadays, it's just going to break your browser. So we decided, okay, let's find a way that we can separate things, and we can add like with the pagination with like the infinite load for loading things, but also you have like a general information about all this this block. But yeah, I don't want to take a lot of time. I would suggest people to just go to agentscan.io and just poke around, see what are the things that you find valuable, things that is not working, or things that you think would be nice to have in this website, because we want to continue deploying more and adding more information. And also next week, we're going to release the source code for the front end and the back end for Agent Scan. It's going to be an open source project that we want to see people either submitting PRs, adding more code, or adding issues, feedback, etc. Because we want to see this Block Explorer evolving as well. So this, let's say, is a version 1. It's a beta. It's not a beta. It's let's say it's the first version that's out officially. There's still things that we want to improve, but we depend on the community to keep giving us feedback. And yeah, exactly. That's basically, I think, the idea. I think 10 minutes. And yeah.
Very, very cool.
It's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Love it.
So yeah, it's been a fun project to build this. Get out a little bit of the Hotspotty, but it's still a Hotspotty project. But still, I think forcing us to look at the mobile tokens, and now we're gonna add that to also their mobile app, also the Hotspotty and everything.
Love it. Love it. Well, it's out in the wild now, so people go test it, see what you think, let them know what it is. And funnily enough, Docile Bone Pony, that hotspot you were sharing, that was the highest earning hotspot in the world for a while. And I talk to that guy in Discord all the time. Not all the time, but we used to talk a bunch. So,
nice.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Paul, what you did a bunch of like number crunching this past week on the DC burn for the console exploit. You want to talk us through what you figured out there?
Yeah, I can talk a bit about what I've written and investigate this week. In fact, it comes from the $6,000 dollars of data transfer. That's there is a lot of noise a couple of days or week ago about this. Since the volume of data packet transfer in June. But it was interesting to me to investigate a bit because it was indicating as revenue, and in fact, it's really not revenue. In fact, it's this sum of data credit is what is distributed to the hotspot owner. So it's not a revenue; it's a cost. Basically, it's a revenue for the hotspot owner, but it's a cost for the different user of the network, and also for Novel Apps. And it's really aggregated as it's a global things. But in fact, the console are owned by different people. Some and most of the main console is from Helium, but there is plenty of them because there is something about 39 different console that exist that has been registered with our UI. And so it was an opportunity, in fact, to take a look to the data and understand who is owning the different console and what is the size of all of this, and how it is progressing in terms of usage and so on. And so that was really interesting learning around this. So I've summarized this in a blog post on my website, so you can take a look at this anyone.com. It's the last blog post that has been published. But do not right now. It's better to listen to us right now, just after. And so there are some interesting learning. So some of the learning is the first question I was looking for is who is owning the different console. And it's not an easy job to find this because the OUI, you have information like the IP address, like the wallet that has been created, the OUI, and so on. So it's some investigation has been needed. I've been very lucky because some of the server are responding even on the IP address and proposing an invalid certificate, so you can get the official name of this by the way. So a lot of them are used by Helium. I've identified eight different consoles that has been created or funded by Helium. And based on this, we have the OU1, which is the console.helium.com. We have the staging console that is used for the test, which is the OUI4. And apparently, we have two other consoles that are having traffic, but not registering new devices. So maybe that has been created for particular usage, and one which is growing, which may be the B2B console that Helium has. So that was for Helium, but the other part was interesting. I see that Bobcat have a console, Rack Wireless have a console, SenseCap have a console. So the three main hotspot provider have their own console. We have also the Ubidots console for the dashboarding solution, and we have a Semtech console. And I did not know they had one, and apparently they use it for making some demonstrator about localization. So tracking solution, but based on LoRa network and not especially on GPS or their version of low-cost GPS and Wi-Fi positioning solution, I assume. So that's interesting because there is a lot of volume on this console. Lots is not big, but it's more important that most of the other. So that's interesting. And we also have console for some specific application like tracking, like air monitoring, and another applications are air quality also, and things like this. So we have different kind of thing. We have a technological console, we have public console like the Helium one, like my console in your IoT, but we also have console for dedicated applications of service provider that are things, and also for the hardware provider like SenseCap, Rack, and Bobcat. So it's interesting to see that ecosystem developing. The other learning that was really interesting about the more related to the $6,000 is that in fact the volume has really decreased in July. And that was another thing I would like also to analyze because I didn't know that in June we had some gamers that were creating accounts on the public console of Helium, to get the 10,000 free DCs. And this guy had robots that create devices on the console and consuming these DCs. So every time they create an account, they were able to grab $0.1, but they have created thousands of accounts. And so that's totally crazy. And it was interesting to see what was the volume of this. So if we take a look in July, where this has been finished, the volume of DCs is about $2,000. So it means that in June, in fact, there was about $2,000 of legit traffic and $4,000 of gaming traffic. And if you take a look on what happened in May, in March, in April, in January, and so on, I take a look until December, because December was, there is a big jump between December and January. So I assume that it has gaming has restart at this period of time. So if you take a look between January and June, it's basically $55K that has been get by the gamer that way, which basically means that they have been created 550,000 accounts and fake device and so on to get this.
That's not a small
that's,
number.
That's kind of no, that's not a small number. It's small compared to the other gaming around the hotspot and so on, but it's not a small number. And what is more important to me is I also take a look to the side cost of the console, because in fact in the console economics is not just paying the hotspot owner for transferring the packet, but it also to register the XOR filter. So every time you register a device, you have a XOR filter update you need to pay for, and you also have some state channel cost. And if you take a look to this cost during that period for Nova Labs, it's something about 200,000 K. So it costs this gaming as cost for helium in HNT burned into DC. It has cost something like 250,000 K for just getting 50K for the gamers. So that's what's a bit incredible. And the reason of this is that due to the way the XOR filter update was working before June, at the end of the period, so May and June, every new device that were registered on the Helium console was something about $1 for each new device registered. So that's totally crazy. What I also seen by analysis this is basically who are the gamer and what I was looking where they are, if they are using hotspot or things like this, and I identified that they were using, I think for most of them, data only hotspot, and I identified about 136 data only hotspot that has been used for this. The other spots are registered to get the DCs, but they are not registered the localization. So that way, we can identify where they're supposed to be, but they are data only, so there's no proof of coverage. So the localization is not something really important. But it also explains why in beginning of June we had a modification in Gateway RS, where if the hotspot is not having a localization, the DCs are not reported to the network. So there could be some other reason, but this also could be a good reason. And so the XOR filter way has also been changed in June to avoid to have this exponential cost that Helium had to face due to this gaming. So the side effect of this is that I think there is positive things that every time we have gaming, it's improving the software, and so for this reason, the XOR filter parameter of cost is now linear and not exponential, which is really good, and also the localization of the data only is mandatory, so it's something interesting to see. So it's basically what I learned by doing this analysis. I've put all the PLSQL I've used for this analysis in my blog post. So if you're curious, you can take a look at it.
Super, super cool. It's remind me to never try any technological scams around you. You just track me down. It's super easy. I saw the list, and I think the list is posted on your site of the OUIs and kind of who owns them, or who you think owns them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I put that on my site, so you can access to it. Yeah, it's not all the OUI because there is a lot of OUIs that are not active and no packet transfer or no state channel or thing like this. So yeah, I didn't analyze them.
Yeah. How dangerous is it for someone to know that I'm the owner of OUI, whatever, XYZ? Is that something that I should worry about, or is it not a big deal?
I don't think so. In my point of view, I mean, it's really hard to stay anonymous if you have a console because your console router have an IP address. It's where the miner will connect to the router to report the packets. So you have an IP address. So in certain cases, the IP address is Cloudflare, for example. So you don't directly know what is the service behind. But in most of the case, it's not a Cloudflare. It's really directly the server. So you can identify this. And yeah, I don't see really the interest of not, hiding.
Okay. So
You
it
don't
doesn't
know who
matter.
is running.
No big deal. Let's yeah. So we just have JM come on. I know Jay's been deploying a bunch of 5G units. So Jay, welcome to the show. I know we got some 5G news coming up with this mobile token, but as far as I know, and maybe I missed it just because I've been traveling, it's not live yet. We're not seeing it kick out yet. Is that how much have I missed in the last 2 days? No, yeah, Neil, do you know? But I don't think it's live. But
There was just an announcement that the team are activating the subnetwork V1 and funding the treasuries right this second. So
okay.
anytime now, next
Breaking
few hours.
news. Yeah, here live on State of the Network. Maybe we should have synced this up. So it's
cool.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Amazing to see it coming through now.
Yeah. It's funny. One of the places I put it up outdoors, the host called me or texted me, and she's like, "Hey, I think your hotspot is making my internet fail, so I just unplugged your hotspot." I was like, "Man, of all the weeks to do that, please, would you just? I don't think it's my hotspot. Leave it plugged in."
Yeah.
So interesting. Neil, I'd like to go back to the IoT stuff that you're doing. I get a lot of questions about how to use the network and is the network dead and what's going on with it. And I think we've talked about this a bunch before, but it's worth hammering it, is that you're starting to see your business, TrackbackIO, like it's starting to take off now. And so you've been putting in a year of work on it, a little bit less?
We started in about January, February, I think. So
okay.
Crazy to think that. But the crypto moves so fast that sometimes like your previous experience feels like years and years, but then when you look back, it's a few months, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been learning about sensors and how to develop them and how to use them for nearly 2 years now. You know, before I had no clue about a sensor, but now I can write a downlink decoder and an uplink encoder, and you know I can put hardware together and launch it, and that's what I've taken, learned, and built something on top of it. And it's just that development cycle, you know, 2 to 3 years of needing to be able to learn a system well enough to be able to develop something for it. And then, you know, even now we're working with DIY hardware developers and not using our own, but we want to. You know, we don't think there's a perfect tracker out there. But if I go to make a tracker now, it's going to be, you know, almost another year on top of that. So there's people that are already ahead of where I am that have been taking these 2 years so far to get to market. And that just all seems to be bubbling live now. It's I think it's a mix of more publicity because everyone's been talking about it more, and the fact that it is time for this. You know, everyone's realizing, wow, this network's so usable. Let's get on this now. And you know, it's just that lag catch up period that developers need.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Paul, you're running a couple consoles for people, so you must also be seeing a little bit of growth of people. I mean, if they're paying you to run a console, they must want something done with the data. I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of slow lag here. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is he? Did he not respond there? I don't think he did he?
Not yet. Nope.
Mm-mm.
Let's say
No,
Paul.
it's building up like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just growing more and more. I think like some of the changes that recently have happened in helium, you know, this no sync thing, just makes it way more viable in the field as well. So quite a lot of developers were nervous about using helium because they couldn't keep their gateways live.
Yeah.
You know, they're going from a traditional world where they're offering a 99.98% SLA to just trusting something that might be down for 4 days whilst it syncs a blockchain. You know, and I think that's turning over now. That's like one of the best things. And the recent changes to always deliver packets straight away as well has meant that like for data, the networks just exploded the coverage. You know, it wasn't that stable before. It was stable enough because remember you only need one packet to get through. But if you run an all packets test, I used to see 18 to 20 hotspots where I am. But recently it's been more like 4 or 5. And when they've made these changes live, now I'm seeing that level return. So it's just improving the coverage over and over. And we've just got that diversity now in places like the UK, New York, everywhere like that, that you could just go everywhere without not having coverage, you know? It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Coverage, you know?
Yeah. AP, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's my connection that's a little bit laggy or
No,
everybody else's. I don't know.
It's me. It's mine. I'm not my usual spot. Tell me what's going on with your world. What's new with you?
Yeah. Well, I've just been helping with the POC working group. Been helping guys over at Nova with just some suggestions with CrowdSpot and kind of improving the deny list mechanism at the moment. Because at the moment it's quite a slow process.
Right, but there's some. Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe I saw someone saying like, "Oh, the gamers are not going to be happy next week," or some like dare to. Like someone's just figured out something to shut them down a little bit.
That was Star Watcher, I think.
Okay.
Said that earlier on in the Discord. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some cool things I think coming very soon.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see.
I don't know the in there now.
Oh, they're not public. Probably not public and not there yet. I'm super curious to see how much HNT the gamers kind of stole when we get to it. It was really interesting to hear Paul's take on, or Paul run the numbers on the DC exploit and see how small that was, even though the numbers of accounts was giant. And I'm curious, Paul, do you think that had anything to do with the Helium console, like the public console, having problems? Was that so many accounts were getting created, or was that a separate issue? Because I know for a while there was big problems with it.
I mean, my way of gaming on a console is a bit different compared to gaming on a POC, because gaming on a POC is more a structural problem and related to the POC, and the POC is something which is new and need to be improved and facing this. The gaming on console is, something you can get on every services. Just imagine that on Netflix you have one month for free. You can have people that are getting 1 month with an account and closing it and open a new one with another account and so on, and have Netflix for free for months. And if you do that at scale, you that way you have a lot of possible gaming. I see that also in bank, and for the internet bank, you gain some real money by opening an account. And I see some students, for example, to finance some traveling or some party. They all open accounts and affiliate them to each other's, and they get multiple thousand of euro by doing this to finance stuff. So you see, this kind of attack is quite different, but it exists, and so Helium has to protect. And what is bad is that previously everyone could have 10,000 DCs, And so it means that you can register on console.tenio.com. You can try the network and start doing anything without having to burn anything or without to use your credit card. But now with 250, you can still do that, but for days or maximum of a week. And after, you have to you have to take your credit card. So it's not good for developing the network. It's not good for students, for example, for student use. But it's something we need to do to protect against this kind of game.
Right on. Yeah, it's funny. People always find a way when there's free money to be had. They'll always get in the door. What was the other thing I wanted to talk about this week? We might have been hitting it on the chat for state of the network stuff. I know there's just so much stuff going on, and most of it's just around the use of the network. AP, was there something else that you were saying earlier, or anything else that you wanted to hit? I'm trying to scroll back now.
There was some discussions around like kind of re-reviewing Hit 42, and potentially, because at the moment most of these packet forwarding networks they're relying on witnessing alone, and the methods that they use to forward those packets along don't work so well in the reverse. So if we say we weighted rewards on the transmit side rather than the reward side, it could have a big impact on that type of gaming.
Yeah. All right. Dig it, Neil. What else?
That's what I was discussing earlier, but it's early days.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I was talking with Lee earlier today. I'm like, we got to get Amir on here and see what's going on with Helium from the top down. Get him on like a once a month thing to see what they're thinking. Harley is asking in the chat the best way to report gamers. I think AP, you'd said it before. Is CrowdSpot? Is it still that's the preferred way still?
Yeah. CrowdSpot's like the preferred way. If you've got clusters that you can provide evidence for, then submit it through the GitHub issues. That process might change slightly in the next few months, but we'll hear more soon.
Got it. And Paul, I know you got to go. You can bail anytime, and anyone else can jump on. That's in our little backstage thing. Neil, tell me a little bit more about like the growing of the network piece. Are you seeing people want to use TrackPack? I think one of your early hopes was that they would white label it and use it for their own thing. Are you getting a lot of requests for that, or no? You're not hearing me. Okay. Maybe I got to figure out if I.
Yeah, sorry.
This thing keeps cutting out quite a bit.
Sorry, that's me. Can you hear me now, Neil? Is that any better? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Great.
Cool. So the question I had was: are you seeing a bunch of people who want to white label TrackPack.io? I know you wanted that early on. Are you still getting that, or are you doing all the work straight yourself?
Sorry, you broke up.
Sorry, I think I missed part of that.
Oh man, okay. Let me see if I can put it into the Discord chat. Or it might be that we may have to call it here. I may be totally breaking my internet connection here. Let's see. I don't think I might be able to turn my camera off. See if that helps. Can you guys hear me now? Is that any better? No?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Validator.
Okay. So Neil, I had the question. Are you seeing a lot of people trying to white label TrackPack.io yet? Or still it's mostly you just going direct to customer?
Yeah, I mean, like the whole idea of what we've done is we thought the app was just about education and just giving someone an easy tool to like get started with it. But we really think that industry-specific knowledge is where this kind of technology gets its advances from. So we can suggest a tracker and we can promote that tracker. But until someone comes along and says, "Oh, I want to go to a marina and make a perfect tracker for a marina boat that's waterproof and does checks in this often," and they might want to sell it at a different price. So we're doing it in a white label service for them so they can go and do that. And it's been a huge market for us. So I think we're close to having something like 10 signups now for white labeling, which is just huge. So we've got different people in different stages along that, and soon you'll start seeing our tech relabeled for that specific use case, which is the best thing, right? So like I say, I can't go into a marina and say, hey, do you guys want sensors? But for the company that their products are using marinas all over the world, it makes perfect sense for them to white label it, to franchise it out, and to use their tech in their industry. And we're just getting requests from all over the globe for that.
Oh, that's rad. That's super cool. And so, like, what does your perfect customer look like, or maybe one of your perfect kind of customer profiles? Are you looking for like someone who's got 50 items to track, or 200, or 10,000, or does it matter to you?
It doesn't matter to us, really. It doesn't. We can support everyone throughout whatever level. And we're speaking to some customers that just want our API. They don't want any of our tech, as in a app or website. They want to just put it into their own app, their own existing systems, and use this thing. So that it's just crazy to see. So if you've got a few devices, like we've got a video coming out soon of an installation we've just done for tracking vans for we call them white van mans over here. General business. Building contractors, white van mans, they wanted to track all of their company's vans. So we've got a video coming up for that, and it's realizing that once you've done that once, you just need to promote it and share it with other businesses in those key areas, and it can grow to something massive. And it's just crazy to see. We're just getting a lot of sign-ups. So
super cool. Yeah, I mean, tracking is such the obvious one, but it's also we did a call with Thomas at Tingart for the Gristle crew, and the stuff he's doing is amazing. He's got such a nice UI. I saw a question in the chat from Renee DeVrind. Can you address helium-approved manufacturers who do not supply their buyers? I mean, we can address them. I'm not sure if they're going to listen. So we've got two kind of general problems. One I've seen was Nebra for a while, but I think Nebra managed to pull through and do well. And then right now I'm seeing Syncrobit is having a real problem. I'm seeing people seem to have a real problem with contacting. Do you guys know anything about either of those?
No, they've just gone quiet. I think they've done a few updates, but from what everyone's hearing, there's been some problems there, but we don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough thing as well.
It's hard to see.
It's tough. It's tough to see because it's not like even the folks who work for Helium Foundation or Nova. It's not. They're not the ones manufacturing the device. I think Hacking This and That had said in the comments like, we're all kind of bummed to hear that people aren't getting their stuff, but you got to go with your local consumer protection and just treat it like you would buying a normal thing on the internet. It's not a great answer. I know it's not going to be super easy, but that's the deal.
Yeah, and don't worry if you have got hardware already and you're worrying about future updates. There is a really good DIY community that looks to be, making sure that this can work on every hotspot, and if that manufacturer goes bust or stops updating them, that they can continue using their hardware. So I think as we get better tech in the helium world, with hotspots and more secure devices, basically, we can move into this DIY world and it'll get a bit bigger. But right now there is a core community that will help you get your hotspot back if there is problems.
Cool. And that's just the DIY hotspot channel in the Helium server?
Yeah, exactly that. And there's an Ansible playbook basically that you can just install on an SD card and get it on there. If the hotspot hasn't got an SD card, then it's a little more tricky. But from what I understand, it is possible to get into every hotspot and change the firmware. So some of them are just a bit more difficult than others.
Right on. Carl, I see you're out of here. Thanks.
Exactly. Like they're quite easy. I was just saying that they're quite easy to the Ansible playbooks like make it 5 really quick.
Cool. Yeah, it's super cool that the amount of technical help you can get from the guys who are on not only this show, but the folks who are on the Helium Discord. Paul, I see you got to bounce out. Thanks, dude, for coming on. I appreciate you sharing that. And the Disc 91 blog has got all the details for anyone who wants to see that decent.
Thank you, Nick.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, soon.
Ciao. All right, it's just my 2 Englishmen. That's all that's left. That's the last 2 hangers on.
I'm not sure what happened to the other Englishman. Is he busy today?
Apparently.
He must have been busy.
I'm seeing that my third or fourth thing was when Robert Putt is giving you a hard time in the comments. We could get
He
him
gives
on.
me a hard time every day. Don't worry. Don't worry. He gives me a hard time every day. But yeah, just in Dave's defenses, he's not here. Now would have been a great time to talk about analytics. Now the validator changes went through, the issuance today has gone right up. You know, we were 108% of target yesterday, for example. So to see the amount being issued out now because validators are getting more penalties if they're not performing well, it's just great to see.
Have you paid attention
so
to
yeah,
that?
it's a shame you can't see it. Helium
Yeah.
Analytics, if anyone wants to see it.
Yeah, Helium Analytics. Is it .com or .io? I think it's .com.
.io, yeah.
.io. Oh,
HeliumAnalytics.io.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to get his take. Have you been paying attention to that, Neil? Like, my question is purely selfish. Are the Stakejoy validators okay, or are those guys getting dinged pretty hard? Because that's where we've got my little half.
There was one company that didn't have gRPC working properly, so they weren't doing POC properly. And then since that got fixed, it was quite a large number. I'm not sure which one it was. Since that got fixed, it improved things and POC went up again. So it's like a mix of better penalties for not performing validators, and a case of like fixing the ones that are on the network as well. So everything's just seemed to be on the up, at least. You know, the amount issued, the amount of POC happening. It's great to see, but there's still a ways to go for sure.
Yeah, we're not seeing people complain about getting more earnings. It's so weird. They sure yap when the earnings are down. When they're up, you don't see anyone saying, "Hey, my earnings are up." So.
Yeah, exactly. I'm always reminded with that the Helium Discord is this hyper local focused group of people that, you know, just want to talk about helium and their earnings all the time.
Yeah.
But generally, they only talk in there when there are issues. You know, you don't see people going in saying, you know, oh wow, you know, I've done this, I've done that too often. So it's just like hyper focused when there's an issue. You get around with it, you know.
I think of it like an ISP. Like the only time you talk to your broadband provider is to either set up your connection or complain. Like you don't go on like talk to them to say how good the network is, you know.
Yeah. No, I never call Cox and I'm like, hey, you guys are doing a great job.
My hotspots have been stable for 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, my hotspots have been stable for 2 weeks. Data is great. You know, no one comes in and says that.
No. Hey, I was Neil. You were saying you got some trackers over where I am. How does it work with trackers going internationally? So if I take a 915 US tracker and I bring it to the UK and it's 868, it just flat out doesn't work.
Flat out doesn't work, yeah, because the firmware is told to broadcast at the frequency. That's the problem. So,
yeah. Do you think there'll be
a mapper? I got a mapper that's got a feature where you can switch the frequency on a screen. So I'm going to take that to the States if they let me in with it, because it's 3D printed. But yeah, I'm going to give that a whirl when I'm over there. Helium House.
Cool, super cool. That's right.
Yeah, the thing is with these things, like, if you control the firmware on these things, you can make them switch. I mean, you can write things that say, you know, what GPS part of the world am I in? What region is it? Okay, let's rejoin. But no one's made a tracker like that yet. There's talks of a new chip from Semtech, I think, that can do bits of this. But the idea is it's just that it's stuck in the firmware that's not very advanced at this point, you know. So.
Yeah. Huh. I'm seeing 619 saying I might want to check out the Hare, HARE. I wonder what that is. I mean, I'm thinking if we're going to bill helium as a worldwide tracking solution, and especially if it's going to track cargo ships, I've been on those things. They go all over the world, and there's no way that we're going to be like, hey, yeah, you're only going to get coverage when you're in the 868. You know, only get 915 coverage. So there's got to be someone. It's got to be solved already. We just haven't figured it out yet. Because I'm thinking it's probably like you said, Neil, is that there's some GPS thing on board that just switches it over as it goes from one region to the next. But
yeah, exactly. If you have a very you know basic understanding of the Res 5s and where they are in the world, or bigger, you know, for example, you could quickly say, well, this is this region, this is this region, and if there was a way to look up the region, you could just auto switch and rejoin. But at the moment, it's just not, the firmware's not there for it.
Right, and that's going to be the firmware on the trackers. That has nothing, because I thought someone said their Codex firmware allows you to switch frequencies. Like, yeah, that's the hotspot. That's not the sensor. If I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah, and you have to be a little difficult. It's a little difficult with the antennas as well. Like, how tuned is that antenna? Like, TTGO T beams, for example, they list their chip as 868 and 915. It's not like hotspots. So generally, as long as you haven't got like a stupidly tuned 868 antenna on there, it will work in 915 as well. So it's like, if you suddenly went to Asia on 433, that antenna wouldn't work. But yeah,
But
it might work a tad. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it won't work as well as it would with an 868 antenna.
Right. Interesting. So we're going to need to see either new hardware, or we just have to find hardware that we haven't found yet on that side, on the antenna side.
Yeah, it always confused me with LoRa that in the UK, in the EU, we're allowed to do 433 as well. So we can do 868 or 433.
Okay.
But that would make it almost the same band as here in Asia. So I just wondered why that was never done or never thought of, use this one band as much as we can. So it's all, there's none of these issues with just swapping regions. But I never understood that.
Then you got to get the US to jump on board, and we don't jump on board with anything. I mean, we're still in inches.
Yeah,
of feet,
but it kind of feels like it needs that kind of like, okay, now we've got a decent sized network. Maybe we can, unify the laws around it so it is just one big, frequency band for everyone. Maybe that's a different range, but I understand on like a 915 and AU 915 is different from US 915 because there's emergency bands around there, isn't there? So, but maybe there's something they could eventually change to, so it is one.
Gotcha. Huh. Yeah, we'll see how the whole thing shakes out. See, Paul's saying Sigfox has a beacon that can be used even with LoRaWAN devices. I mean, I think one thing we're going to see in the next probably 6 months is the experts who are like Paul, but maybe who are unbelievers, who've got a bunch of experience in LoRaWAN, are now going to start taking helium seriously where they didn't before. And I think we're going to see a giant jump in just the applicability of it as these folks come in. Lee, would you close that door? Lee's running a bath.
Yeah, and just to say, I probably annoyed some folks by saying that AU's 915. It's 923 at the moment, but they're technically having this dual plan thing that's going on at the moment. So sorry if I offended anyone.
Yeah, you got to be careful with the Australians. They get the dander up quick on that. I think there is a problem with it.
My DMs will be
yeah. So,
my DMs will be filled. Don't worry.
Yeah. with very polite, very very cautiously worded DMs. Cool. I saw 619 is talking about the hotspot I've got up on the Mountain Amateur Jade Air. I'm not sure what's going on with that one. It's been up and down. I think it's pretty interesting just to see. For a while it was doing super, super well, and now in the last couple of days it hasn't done. But that seems like that's network variance. I mean, that's how these things go. So 915 is also arriving in Europe, is what Paul's saying. That's pretty cool.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense just to keep it all on one frequency. I mean, if we're really talking about building something big here, there's no way we need to have all of these different frequencies. I understand why it's done, but if there's one frequency for everywhere, it'd simplify things a lot more, especially for asset tracking. Like, static sensors, it doesn't matter. But, for asset tracking at least, yeah. I think there's a new band as well, isn't there? I think there's a new LoRa band people are talking about. I think it's 1.2 or something, or 2.4.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing Siegfried saying he's talking about 2.4 gig. Huh.
I think at the moment the only solution is just to get it done in hardware and the firmware, so you can just travel. And if you could detect the location of the sensor, you could then switch the frequency plan based on its location. But I think that's the only workable solution at the moment. I don't know if any devices do that currently. But.
Yeah. I'm seeing Siegfried ask if there's any influential people in Helium and Nova pondering whether to use a rather new globally unified LoRa frequency. I mean, my guess would be that they know about it. If Germ doesn't know about it, I'd be shocked. And the people at Nova don't know about it. But I don't know how much work they're putting into it. It doesn't mean they're not putting it. It just means I don't know how much they're putting into it. But that seems like it makes the most sense for asset tracking, like Neil said. But yeah, I think we get into a radio geekery here. Now we're getting a fight in the comments about 2.4. So yeah, interesting stuff. I'm trying to think that so mobile should go live in the next 10 minutes. And then you guys have any predictions about how soon it will be before mobile is smoothly rolled out? I know we had some predictions about how long it would take. Yeah, we need Jerry to
tell us it's in the can. Yeah, exactly.
I
I don't know.
can finally have that on a t-shirt.
But you got to remember, you know, forging new paths here. You're going to get some problems, but some things you just never can plan for as much as you test. You know, it's like you go on holiday to Israel, you test your internet connection, you think everything's going to be fine, and then
here we are.
We carry on. We keep going. You know, just keep going, and that's what the whole thing's about. You know, just keep building, just keep pouring into this thing. I love this project. I think the foundations are fantastic, and it can change lives. But to do that, we've got to put in the hard work now to build a better network for the future. And yes, that means sometimes we get crap pot crates, we get low income. But if we keep going and keep building something, we're building something bigger than all of us combined, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I see that with like folks who are coming in who are experienced engineers from other kind of normal projects. And they're like, oh, didn't you test this or didn't you do that? Like, how can you test it? It hasn't been done before. You know, you've got this network that's bigger than anyone's ever built using a blockchain. No one's ever done that. And then you've got all these hotspots that are run by basically amateurs. Like, how could you possibly think that will go smoothly as a rollout? Like, it's really exciting. It's really big. It's really different. The one thing it's not going to be is really smooth. You know, so when I look at even the transition from light hotspots, are we pretty close to complete on that? I know that I'm not seeing as many complaints around it, but there may be still some kind of technicalities with it, or is it done?
No, there's still some targeting issues. I think they're almost through, but then the Gateway RS isn't processing POC at the moment. It's still the ER Lang miner. So when that happens, then we'll be fully ready for like gateways. So, but at the moment, yeah, the ER Lang miner is still used, so it's not here yet. And obviously, that this takes time and it's in the background. You know, a lot of people think everything's been paused for 5G. But it really, really hasn't. It's just this work's going on in the background. They're just keeping their heads down, building this thing and moving it forward, you know, and that just takes time.
Yeah.
They can't pop their heads up every 5 minutes and tell you what they're doing. Otherwise, they'll never get anything done, you know?
Yeah. And I think we're gonna work harder on getting more Helium Foundation representation on this show, so we get a little check-in, and maybe get some Nova reps in as well, just to let us kind of know what's going on. So I think it's been super fun for us to kind of take pretty good educated guesses about this, but it'll be really cool to hear it from the horse's mouth and see like, okay, this is what's coming down the pipe next. So yeah.
Sometimes they don't know either. Like, it might be on their roadmaps, you know, and they can estimate when it's going to be rolled up, but if something comes up in testing, you know, it's going to be delayed, and you just never know. Like, that's development for you, and you push it back until you feel confident enough to roll it out. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
I'm guessing that sometime around the end of September, we're going to have this. By then, the mobile side will be pretty smooth, is my guess. Is around mid-October or mid-August? Maybe that's a pretty aggressive guess. I mean, I think the other thing coming down the pipe they're all hearing rumblings about is they're going to announce some partnership sometime September, October. So that's kind of the next big thing. Now that's just a rumor. That's just rumblings. It's is what it is. It's nothing official. But I think you got to be crazy to think they're not working super hard on that, because that's what the network's for. So, I'm sure I'm not giving anything away because there's really not much information there. But it's pretty interesting to see kind of what's going to come down the pipe with that. So,
it's exciting, especially with this mobile launch today. I mean, we should see it within the next couple of hours, I think, as well. So, rewards hitting wallets that say mobile on them, fantastic. It's launched, isn't it? It's in the can.
Yeah, it's in the can. Maybe that'll be the show motto. Cool. Well, I think we're close enough to the end. We could probably call it. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to hit?
Super good.
Right. Well, thanks a ton for coming on. I'll see you next week. It'll be another one like this. I'll still be traveling, and then I'm going to come home the next day. So Yeah, thanks for coming on. Super good to talk to you guys. Super good to hear your news and have everyone go through it. Yeah, rock and roll. We'll see you on the Discord.
Safe travels.
All right, guys. Thank you. Cheer up.
See
See you
ya.
around.
Bye.